Lancaster State Board of Trustees is now called to order. Welcome, everyone. Got a lot of bones in the house tonight. It looks good. The date is July 25th. Lancaster State Board of Trustees meeting is now called to order. The time is 7 p.m. The meeting is being held in the Lancaster Administration Building Auditorium at 422 South Center Avenue. The meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meeting Act. I will now take roll. Trustee Hamilton?
Present.
Trustee Nichols?
Present.
Vice President Smith? Here. Secretary Morris?
Present.
Trustee Cluis?
Trustee Cluis.
Trustee Whitfield?
Trustee Whitfield.
Here.
All right, myself present. A quorum is here. The first item on our agenda is Pledge of Allegiance. Dr. Rivera.
Thank you, President Jones. I'm going to call forward Ms. Simpson. We have guests tonight that are doing the pledge for us.
Yes, are we doing the U.S. and Texas pledges? Okay, it's just us, it's no actual person, so I can just lead if everyone could please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for the Texas Pledge. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you very much for leading us in that, Ms. Simpson. The next item on our agenda is recognitions and commendations. Dr. Pereira.
Thank you, President Jones. Again, Ms. Simpson will lead us and our community through that.
Thank you, Board President, Board of Trustees, and Dr. Pereira. I will be presenting our acknowledgments for my seat, so please excuse my seat. At this time, if you all could please transition to the floor for our recognitions. So, Board, if you look out in the audience, you can see a group of individuals who are known for having spirit, pride, and all of the above for Lancaster ISD. So I'm going to invite our varsity and junior varsity cheerleaders to the floor so we can brag on them a bit. So come on up, cheerleaders. So, Board, Lancaster High School varsity and JV cheerleaders recently went to the National Cheerleading Association Cheer Camp and did an outstanding job representing Lancaster ISD. Four cheerleaders were awarded All-American medals. Varsity won Top Team Chant, multiple sprint sticks, and Herky Team Award for Most Spirited Team. JV won multiple top awards, including Most Improved Team. And special congratulations to Sydney Sorrell, raise your hand, Sydney, and Jeremy Hairston for receiving the Pennant Ford Award that is given to cheerleaders who exemplify leadership skills throughout the camp. So way to go to this awesome group, and we look forward to them leading all of the chants and spirit at all of our upcoming football games and volleyball games this school year. So you know how we do it. We always have to put the L up for our photo that will go on social media and on our website, Big Smiles Cheerleaders. Definitely our right hand with the L. And Coach, do they have a quick little cheer that they want to lead us in? Yes. Okay. you all know that is Dr. Jackson's favorite chant. He loves that, but we really appreciate that, and we look forward to seeing you guys on Friday Night Lights and Thursday Night Lights, JV and varsity. So, all right, thank you, LHS cheer team. We appreciate you guys. No, one more. And board, we have a special recognition this evening. Lancaster Board Vice President Kendall L. Smith earned the designation of Master Trustee following the completion of the 2023-2024 Leadership TASB program. Leadership TASB is a board development service sponsored by the Texas Association of School Boards. Program participants conducted year-long research on critical issues in Texas public education and presented their findings during the TASB Summer Leadership Institute in June. Upon graduating from the program, Vice President Smith joined the ranks of more than 1,000 school board members statewide who are Leadership TASB alumni. So congratulations to you, Trustee Smith. Gonna get a quick photo of you right in the middle. Surrounded by your fellow trustees. Back up just a tad bit for us. Just, yeah. Well, no, you guys should still be around them. This is a little bit. Back up just a little bit for me, Mr. Smith. Just a little bit. And just so you'll know, we'll release a press release with this accomplishment this evening, and it will be on our website and on social media, Trustee Smith. Congratulations. And board, you can return to your seat at this time. We'll just have a few more upcoming events and acknowledgements. The celebration continues with our Teacher of the Years. Earlier today, our elementary and secondary Teachers of the Year, Caitlin Washington and Brittany Johnson, attended the Region 10 Teacher of the Year celebration. They joined all Region 10 Teachers of the Year in celebration of their achievement. We appreciate these two for representing Lancaster ISD today among all of the other Region 10 Teachers of the Year at the Frontier Flights Museum in Dallas. So they had a really good time. And this past Thursday, Beltline Elementary opened its doors for incoming pre-K 3 and 4 students for Tiger Day. The Tiger Day is held to welcome our youngest Tigers to their new campus by allowing them to declare that they are now a Tiger while parents receive vital campus information for the upcoming school year. It is always a fun event for them to attend. And last month, we mentioned a few summer camps our students were able to experience this year, and we have continued to offer fun, engaging, and insightful opportunities for our students to grow. The Design, Connect, Create, and Seeds for Kings STEAM camps were held for 3rd through 12th grade students to expose them to new opportunities in the STEM world. Our emerging bilingual students participated in the Summer Newcomer Program, which provided support and resources to assist with their achievement throughout their academic journeys. And just this afternoon, our CTE program collaborated with Hacking Innovation to teach 25 students how to build functional robots. Earlier today, these students participated in the Summer Engineering and Robotics Camp showcase, where they presented their student designed and programmed robotic hands. So it was very interesting. They had a really good time. And as you can see, we have remained very busy throughout the summer in Lancaster ISD. And now for some upcoming events. We have a lot going on before the start of school. As we prepare for the start of the upcoming school year, we have our new information hub. It's been up for about 3 years since we've actually been here, but it's always new every year with new information. And parents can find information on enrollment, school start and end time, school supply list, updated backpack requirements, bus routes, immunizations, and even more. We are encouraging all families to visit the Back to School Hub to stay up to date with all information related to back to school. You can get there by going to lancasterisd.org/back to school. And our annual Back to School Bash is coming up. We're hosting it on August 3rd, Saturday, August 3rd. The bash will provide students with much needed school supplies, clear backpacks, free haircuts, and much more. Each Lancaster ISD campus will be represented and community vendors will also be present. The Back to School Bash will be held at Lancaster High School and will start at 9 a.m. and will conclude at noon. And it's time to kick off the new year, and we will do just that by welcoming our new employees to new employee orientation on Monday, July 29th at Lancaster Middle School. Additionally, to give an exciting welcome to our new employees, we are throwing a Lancaster Tiger League draft party Monday, July 29th at the LMS Auditorium at 3:45 p.m. So if you have time, please stop by for that to welcome our newest employees to the district. And then on Wednesday, August 7th at 8:30 a.m., we are going to keep the momentum going with our annual convocation. Last year, we raised our roar loud, and this year we want our employees to dream, believe, and roar when you represent our district in the Tiger Games. We're playing off the upcoming Olympics. The opening ceremonies is tomorrow for our Olympics in Paris, and we will have our opening ceremony in Lancaster ISD on August 7th. And then our teachers are eager to meet their students and parents for the upcoming school year. Secondary Meet the Teacher Night is Thursday, August 8th from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. And Elementary Meet the Teacher Night is Friday, August 9th from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. And as we gear up for the new school year, we also have shared that we have new start times and end times for all campuses. These new staggered start times will help us meet the needs of all of our campuses effectively and streamline our transportation logistics to ensure every student's transportation needs are met. Our community can view the updated start and end times on the screen as well as the district website, and we have sent this information to our parents as well. And you all know it's not back to school without our annual tradition of the red carpet welcome. Our event will be on the first day of school, which is Monday, August 12th. We will ask individuals assigned to GWC, LMS, and LHS to arrive at their assigned campus by 7 a.m. Individuals assigned to BAMO should arrive by 7:30 a.m. and individuals assigned to an elementary campus should arrive by 7:40 a.m. This information will also be emailed to the board and all participating individuals as well. And board, that concludes our board acknowledgements and recognitions. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Ms. Simpson. I'd also like to personally congratulate Vice President Smith for going through leadership tasks and becoming a master trustee. We also have Secretary Morris, who's also gone through the program, and I went through the program in 2014. So it's an honor to have three of us on here at this point to kind of begin moving forward. And I welcome any other trustee who's interested in going through the program to definitely look to apply this upcoming school year. The next item on our agenda is citizens communications. Do we have any? Okay, thank you. Next item will be the superintendent's report. Dr. Pereira.
Thank you, President Jones. We'll call forward Dr. Cheek to present that information to our board and our community.
Presenting the May 2024 financial reports. You have a full PDF version of each of the reports and in board book. We also have, the first report is our May tax collections. I want to point out that although $146,000 was collected in May, due to refunds for levy corrections, the overall net reduction in our local tax revenue was reduced by $184,000 and shows in this report for May, as you can see. Slide 2 is our general fund income statement and represents the income and revenues by function. And overall, our revenue to date shows about 74% of our total budgeted revenue has been collected. You can see that our local revenue is slightly down in comparison to last year. And we are contributing that to local property taxes, and not that we weren't not earning them based on our property values, but actually that less has been collected to date, according to when we do the comparison from the general ledger from last year. Also, we know that our state revenues are down. That is due to a settle-up that occurred in the fall, and our average daily attendance also trending down. We also have our SHARS revenue is projected to be lower. That still has not been corrected by the state, although there is a hearing that is occurring next week, and we are hoping for a better outcome across the state. But to date, only half of what was budgeted has been collected for SHARS. Slide 3 is a chart of our revenues, and shows our, on the left, our top 10 generators of revenue. Our current highest revenue driver is our property taxes, and the second being our foundation program through the state of Texas. And again, the same trends that I just talked about. We are slightly lower this year than last year in our revenue collection. The next slide shows is a chart of our expenditures. And you can see that our expenditures this year are higher than last year, and we explain that all with the higher prices this year over last year, and completely what is explaining all of that. And you will also see, of course, that the highest expenditure that we have, which is what we should have, is in instruction, and that is mostly due to the salaries of our instructional staff and mainly our teachers. Our food service report does show a deficit of $3.4 million. However, we did receive word last week that TDA will be releasing approximately $4 million for this school year. We are expecting that before the close of the fiscal year. So that will come for the 23-24 school year. And then we also will be receiving approximately the same amount of approximately $4 million for the previous school year. That is coming from USDA. So that will not be here as quickly as the money from the state, from TDA. And we are currently working with Whitley Penn to work on how we are going to book that because of when it will be received. It is likely that the money from the USDA is going to come after the close of this fiscal year. And it already has been booked as a receivable in the previous year. Our debt service shows our bond payments and expenditures. The only bond payments that we have made at this point were made in February. However, we are preparing to do the rest of our bond payments for August and also our defeasance that you approved. And the last slide is our investment reconciliation, which we prepare for you monthly. We have our two investment pools, Lone Star and TexPool, and you'll see that in May, the Q3 report does post for May, so that is included in this month's investment reconciliation. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Dr. Chi. Any questions from the board? Hearing none, thank you very much. The next item on our agenda is the adoption of the consent agenda. We have several items. I'm going to read these. Approval of the following minutes: June 27th, 2024 regular board meeting. B, consider approval of additions, revisions, deletions of local policies in accordance with updates 122 and 123 prepared by TASB Policy Service. Consider approval of additions, revisions, deletions of local policies resulting from the policy review section conducted on June 10th through 11th, 2024, with the drafts prepared by TASB Policy Service. See the attached list. I'd also like to, we're going to exclude CH local and CV local. Those will be addressed at the August workshop and go from there. Item D, consider approval of annual resolution for the investment policy for Lancaster ISD. E, consider approval of proposed date of August 27, 2024 for the public meeting for the 24-25 budget adoption and the 2024 proposed tax rate adoption. F, consider approval of renewal of insurance coverage with TASB Risk Management Fund. G, consider approval of pre-K partnership opportunity with Harmony Academy. H, consider approval of lighting updates in the auditorium at Lancaster High School. I, consider approval of end of year of district DIP. Consider approval of 2025 spring break academic calendar proposal. K, consider approval of revision to the Lancaster Independent School District student handbook to align with the district policies and procedures and recommendations from the Texas Association of School Boards per the TASB Model Student Handbook. L, consider approval of purchase of classroom furniture for Houston Elementary. M, consider approval of Student Success Agency renewal for 2024-25. N, consider approval of employee handbook. O, consider approval of contracting with Code 3 Security to provide armed and unarmed security officers for the 2024-25 school year. P, consider approval of contracting with audio enhancements to add an additional silent panic alarm system and to upgrade the public address system at Lancaster High School. Q, approval of the time use tracker, June 27, 2024 regular meeting. And R, consider approval of CUBE and MOSBA 2024-2025 board memberships. Are there any questions? If not, this is a item that requires a vote to approve all these in one motion.
President Jones, I have one quick question for you.
Trustee Cloris.
Item R, are we not including the Texas Caucus of Black School Board members?
The rationale there is that those are independent registrations, where these two provide a bigger discount if we do it as a group.
So for the others, does that come out of our travel budget, or how would that work?
Yes, sir. That's proposed. I think the caucus is $25, or maybe $50 per person.
Okay.
Mr. President,
Secretary
Carolyn
Morris.
Morris. Thank you. I would like to pull G and pull R to be voted on separate. And I would like to make a statement about R,
Okay,
if
not
I
just
may.
yet. Not just yet. Once we pull it, we can do that.
Okay.
With that being said, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda excluding item G and item R?
Mr. President,
Vice President Smith.
I motion that we approve the consent agenda minus items G and R.
Okay. We have a motion by
Motion
Vice President Smith. I also see the hand of Trustee Whitfield. Trustee Whitfield?
See my comment?
Trustee Whitfield? Okay. Is there anybody else?
I'll second it.
Okay, second by Trustee Hamilton. Trustee Whitfield, can you hear me now?
Can you hear me now?
Trustee Jones, I had my hand up.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Have we already taken vote? Because I'm not sure if there has been any. It appears that the laptop, the LISD iPad that is used for the meeting has been moved all the way back. So therefore, I'm really having a hard time hearing everyone.
Okay.
Versus when it was up front near the dais and I was able to at least hear some things now. It's like you guys are far away and I can't hear anything.
All right, so trustee Whitfield, I mentioned earlier that the meeting, we're using a different technology tonight, and that's the reason why it's further back.
You're breaking up, but again, initially I could hear. Now the laptop has been positioned all the way back versus closest to the dais as it usually is.
Right.
So therefore, I do believe that is creating an issue with hearing you guys.
Okay, we'll try and rectify that. As relates to the consent agenda, do you have any questions or comments on those items?
I do have a question regarding, if I'm not mistaken, there was an item to be pulled for discussion.
Yes, we aren't there yet.
And
We're not there to discuss that.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Yeah, we're not there to discuss that item. If you have any question on the other items with the motion that's been made, we have a motion and a second. We're now discussing those items. Do you have a question about those?
You said we're not discussing items to be pulled?
There's been a motion and a second for approving the consent agenda, excluding item G and item R.
Point of question, Mr. President. Jones, Carolyn Morris.
Secretary Morris.
It appears we're having difficulties over Zoom, and we need to move forward with this meeting because you're just going back and forth to social media. And so, I would like to move forward with this agenda item.
All right, Trustee Whitfield, if you have two devices, would you mind muting one of them? Because we're getting some feedback here.
I am muting.
Okay. All right. There are no other questions or comments. We'll now take a vote. Trustee Hamilton?
Yes.
Trustee Nichols?
Yes.
Vice President Smith?
Yes.
Secretary Morris?
Yes.
Trustee Cluis?
Yes.
Trustee Whitfield?
No.
Myself voting yes.
As I stated, I'm not able to participate because the laptop has been moved all the way to the back of the room.
All right. Motion carries. We did have two items that were pulled by Secretary Morris. The first one was item G, consider approval of pre-K partnership opportunity with Harmony Academy. Trustee Secretary Morris, would you provide what your question or comments are related to this item?
I don't have any question and any evidence, but I would just like to vote on G, separate.
That's what we're doing right now.
That, you asked me if I had any questions.
Our comments related to the item.
Right, and I was stating that to you.
Okay,
And I'm Carolyn Morris. I'm sorry, I didn't pronounce.
that's all right. Thank you. What are your comments related to this item?
I just stated, I didn't, okay.
But you asked to pull the item.
I asked to pull the item because I wanted to vote on it separate. I wanted the board to vote on this item separately. And I made the statement that I have no supporting evidence on why I want this voted on separate. So if any other board members have any concerns about it, if they don't, their vote is what their vote is.
Okay. So normally when we pull an item from consent agenda, there's more information that we would like about the item. But what you're saying is you don't have any additional information.
I said I don't have any proof to what?
Okay.
Evidence.
All right. So is there a motion to approve the pre-K partnership opportunity with Harmony Academy? I'm requesting a motion at this time.
Mr. President,
Vice President Smith,
I motion that we approve the partnership with Harmony Academy.
we have a motion by Vice President Smith to approve the pre-K partnership opportunity with Harmony Academy. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. President, I would like to take a second.
Okay. Actually, Trustee
That's
Hamilton.
fine. My name is Queenie Nichols.
Gotcha. All right. So, trustee Hamilton, are you yielding your second? All right. So trustee Nichols is seconding this item. We'll now take a vote. Trustee Hamilton?
Yes.
Trustee Nichols?
Yes.
Vice President Smith?
Yes.
Secretary Morris?
No.
Trustee Cluis?
Yes.
Trustee Whitfield?
Abstain.
Would you repeat that? Okay, I think she said abstain. All right, so that will be 5-1-1. Motion passes. The next item that was requested to be pulled, Secretary Morris, was consider approval of CUBE and MASBA 2024-2025 board memberships. Any comments related to this item?
Yes, thank you, Carolyn Morris, President Jones. The reason why I requested to pull this item is because having membership to CUBE serves the board no purpose. We do not receive any board credit. Now, if we are going to allow the district and not just board, I don't want any of my money taken out because our money is limited as it is. So we don't get board credit. We don't get anything but a vacation. So that's my statement on R.
Right, thank you. Any additional questions or comments on this item?
President Jones, I have a question.
I have a comment.
Trustee Hamilton?
So
I
for
have-
the membership dues, for CUBE, it's for the whole, it's for the district or just for the board?
It's for the district.
So
Doesn't say
this will
that.
cover teachers that are sent to CUBE, Dr. Purr?
I think so. It's a district membership and they get a discount on registration, but I have not had any teachers who've gone.
That's what I was gonna ask next, thanks.
Right.
So I guess my question, Mr. Jones, previously, we've attended CUBE and we had anticipations of getting credits after attending, but we've never gotten credits.
And for that, I will state, we do get credit. There was a Qualtrics link that was provided. I did forward that link to Ms. Bryant to send out. I've checked with CUBE to see if they can reopen that particular Qualtrics link for us to submit. I got the link back then. I submitted it. I got a report. I then submitted that report to Monet.
So how many-
we do get credit.
So how many hours do we earn?
I don't remember how many
Or are
I
we
submitted.
able to earn?
I'm not sure how many I submitted, nor that number.
How many?
If that question would have been posed, I could have gotten it for you. It's going to depend on how many sessions we have per day.
So does the board split up this cost amongst, out of our board budget, or is this out of the district's funds?
Comes out of the board's budget, that's in the district.
Okay. So not out of your individual budget?
Does not come out of your individual, no.
Okay.
I had the budget for this.
All right, thank you.
All right. And again, I have requested for them to reopen the link for the Qualtrics for those who did not submit. Thank you. Who did not submit during that time period. So I'm waiting on a response back from CUBE to allow for such. Trustee Whitfield?
What I would like to know, if you can please provide the board with specific clarity, the purpose of CUBE and how many credits are we to receive for attending? And why did we not receive it in the past?
Okay, I can answer part of that question for you. We have received credit in the past if you submitted your information through the link. If that was not done, therefore you did not submit the link, you did not get a report back to submit to Monet to list on your report. As far as the number of hours, I would say, I don't know that, I don't have that number. You'd have to look at the website to see what the agenda was and how many classes were available. And how many classes you attended would give you that number of credit.
If she's finished.
Secretary Morris?
Thank you, Carolyn Morris, President Jones. We have been to CUBE several years, not just 1 year. This have never came to the board, and this line item says, it doesn't say anything about the district. It says board membership. So I want to be clear on that. And Mr. Jones, have you received any credits? Did you go onto the link and receive credits the last maybe 2 or 3 years? Because that's probably how long we've been going, and we pay membership, and then we have to in turn take money out of our personal budget for hotel and travel and food. And we have a very limited budget. So I just want the board to be mindful of utilizing monies for the board to travel and to go to these conferences and don't get credit, and we have not gotten credit, as well as reducing our budget for the opportunities we do have to go for other affiliated for credit. Because credit, we're mandated to have the credit hours. We're not mandated to have CUBE.
Okay, Secretary Morris, to answer your question, yes, I have received credit, and according to Dr. Pereira, this will not come out of your individual budget. She's gonna budget this part of things that the district budget, so it will not come out of your individual funds, based off of what she just shared. But I have gotten credit, I have gotten the link. I am working right now to get that link reopened for you to submit for your credit for this past year. The previous year, I don't know if they're gonna go back that far, but I have contacted CUBE to see if they can reopen that link to allow you to submit and get credit for your participation.
But you don't know how many credit hours we are to get.
I don't have that information before me, no.
And even if it's coming out of the district budget, all monies are state and federal funds, all monies. And so I just, again, want to be cautious how we utilize district funds, because this item says board membership. It doesn't say the district, whether the whole district, there's still another fee to be added to this.
All right. Thank you very much. If there are no other questions on this item, this is an item that requires Trustee Nichols.
Okay, Queenie Nichols, real quick, in reference, I just want to make sure I fully understand. When it comes down to the staff, I think you all mentioned that it's $50, that's what they get a discount on, right?
No, the $50 was for another organization, which is not a part of this list. That's going to be down at the end.
Okay. What was the quality of the conference here at this?
In my opinion, the quality of the conference has been well, but we also have other information that we get from CUBE as relates to different articles regarding board governance, also different advocacy efforts that are going on at the federal level. And they provide us insight as relates to different ways to combat vouchers, if that's a big deal, which is a big deal for in Texas. Provide us information as relates to those items as well. So there are other items just besides the conference that we have access to.
What does CUBE stand for?
It's the Council of Urban Boards of Education.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, if there are no other comments or questions, this is an item that requires a motion.
Mr. President,
Vice President Smith,
a motion for the approval of CUBE and multiple membership.
we have a motion by Vice President Smith for the approval of a CUBE and MOSBA 2024-2025 memberships. I will second. We'll now take a vote. Trustee Whitfield?
Can you hear me? I abstain.
Trustee Cluis?
It would come this direction. Yes.
Trustee Morris?
No.
Secretary Morris, I'm sorry.
No.
Vice President Smith?
Yes.
Trustee Nichols?
Yes.
Trustee Hamilton?
Yes.
Myself voting yes. Motion passes 5-1-1. The next item on our agenda is to discuss and take action on purchase of security cameras for West Main Elementary, Pleasant Run Elementary, and Barack and Michelle Obama 9th Grade Center. Dr. Pereira.
Thank you, President Jones. I'm going to call for Chief Worley to present that information to our board and our community.
Good evening, Board President Jones, board members, Dr. Pereira. I'm here tonight to discuss and request approval for the purchase and installation of surveillance cameras from MCA Night Security for West Main Elementary, Pleasant Run Elementary, and Barack and Michelle Obama Ninth Grade Center. I apologize for this information not being on the workshop last week. Unfortunately, I was unable to get a third quote in time to be able to present this, so we were still looking at best options, but we want to make sure that we got it on here for today at the least and got it through this month. The district obtained 3 quotes from different companies. MCA Night Security came in with the lowest quote for these locations. As you can see that here on the screen, there's 3 different companies, and they came in quite substantially lower than the other 2. They are the company that we have been using as well in the other projects for our cameras. So they are known and are vendors and part of Buy Board and other co-ops that we're part of here in the district. The request tonight is for the district board, seeking board approval for the purchase and installation of surveillance cameras from MCA Night Security in the amount not to exceed $194,360.65. And the funds used for the purchase of these items and installation will come from Title IV federal grant money for this school year. And I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, Chief. Are there any questions on this item?
I have one question.
Trustee Cluis?
Chief Worley said this school year, referring to the 23-24.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. President.
Secretary Morris? Secretary Morris?
Thank you. Is this the same company that the district have utilized before on certain schools or any of our other schools?
Yes, Night Security is the company that we have used when we started this project back in December of, I believe, 21. So they were the company that we started with, and we've continuously used them as we're upgrading our camera systems throughout the district now.
And so they came in after Dr. Pereira became superintendent?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Dr. Pereira?
Thank you, President Jones, Dr. Pereira, Superintendent. I just wanted to have Chief Worley share a little bit more information about the request, because I think you may be sitting and going, well, those are, some of those schools are our newest facilities. Why are we replacing cameras at this time? And I wanted him to shed just a little light on why that is, because I think it's important for the board and the community to know.
Absolutely. So the reason why these cameras or these schools are being replaced at such a fairly small window since they've been built is when the schools were built, West Main and Pleasant Run, in 2017, the cameras that were purchased by, I guess, that were installed originally were already at their end of life cycle. I would love to be able to stand up here and tell you on why in the world we did that or why that was done, but I don't have an answer. I wasn't here. It was previous staff that, and again, the construction company that had all that. So unfortunately what happened is when we purchased these cameras at the end of life, you've got about a year left where they'll do firmware and stuff like that to keep updating, to keep it up, and then after that, you're basically, you've got dead technology. Now, again, it'll work up until it stops working, and then once it stops, there's no capability of fixing it. When the new project started in December of 21, I don't know, some of you may remember, the old chief of technology and operations came up and they presented to you guys to start this project, and it was roughly around $500,000, changing all the video systems. Well, one of the things they didn't realize at that time or weren't instructed or informed was all of these cameras were at end of life. And they're Cisco cameras, and unfortunately, being that when we moved over to this new system, some of those cameras weren't even able to come over because their propriety, I'm going to try to get this word right. They're sole proprietor, so they are only allowed, they only work in certain systems. They only work in that Cisco system that end of life, which is why they changed systems already. And we went to the Milestone system that we're currently in. Unfortunately, some of those cameras didn't come over. Some of them did. Night Security honestly has done an outstanding job once we discovered this. We didn't discover this when it was handed off to me by Dr. Pereira after the old chief of technology had left, and it was handed off to me and myself and Mr. Williamson with technology. About 3-4 months in, I was going through contracts, the original contract, trying to see, okay, what have they done, what haven't they done, wanted to make sure everything we paid for we got. And one of the things I had noticed was, again, part of that camera system, or these cameras having problems, and again, the guarantee that they would get these, the problem solved. Well, reviewing old contracts from Sology, which was the old system, or the old company that sold us these cameras, they provided us information showing that the end of life was 2 or 3 years down the road and still wasn't even out, and then come to find out that information was not truthful in their report that they provided the old technology group. And so what we basically bought was technology at the time that was already kind of out of date and expired. And Night Security has done a great job on getting what they could over into the system. And they have been able to do everything they could. Anytime one would go down, they would try to get it up. The middle school, as well, is part of this same problem. We purchased cameras that all of those cameras are at the end, almost at the end of life at time of purchase. Those are a little bit newer, but not much. But they were pretty much, it wouldn't have been a smart buy. It's like going, and when you know the iPhone, what are we at, 25 comes out next week, and you go and buy an iPhone, you pay full price for an iPhone 24 today. That's kind of what we did. We paid for a full price for cameras that are fixing to be almost to a point of obsolete. Like I said, Night has done a great job on getting them up. The problem is now is they're not coming up when they go down. If we lose power at a school, and whenever they get every power back up, the cameras still have 12:50 a.m. where the server is going to show 11 o'clock or whatever the actual time is. And when those times don't match, the camera says it's down. It's not functioning properly. It's not making the right connection. Well, the problem is because the firmware, sometimes they can go in and update the time and they'll get it back on. They've had some luck getting it back on. Sometimes they do not. A lot of times they do not. This past year at Pleasant Run and West Main, we have continuously lost them in the cameras throughout the year, and they have gone down, and they have not been able to get them back up. At the end of the year, we have approximately 5 cameras that were up at Pleasant Run and 5 cameras up at West Main, 2 brand new schools. That's the problem. That's why we're going after these cameras in these locations specifically. BAMO is on a little bit different world where they've been able to get a lot of them up and keep them up even when they go down. But some of the cameras in our more high foot traffic areas, such as cafeteria and the gym, the library and places like that, they have never been able to get those cameras onto the system because they were just obsolete at the time and they just couldn't get them to come over to Milestone. Plus, again, they're part of that where they only work on a Cisco system and they just could not get those pushed through onto Milestone. The middle school, again, we've had better luck. We have some cameras. We've had a couple of cameras over the last year where they have gone down and we haven't been able to get up. And again, that's created a problem. The difference with the middle school is there is obviously a whole lot bigger space than we have at Pleasant Run and at West Main and BAMO. So the cost of that is going to be a whole lot higher. Currently, right now, 95% of those cameras are up and they're working properly. And so it's not as important right now for us to replace those as it is to replace these other locations, these other 3 locations. But those will be coming as well, unfortunately.
All right. Thank you, Chief. Trustee Clewis.
One more question for you, Chief.
Yes.
I know technology is ever changing. With the approval of these cameras here, how far out would you suspect that it would be time to change?
These cameras will be brand, so these are gonna be, we're still 6, 7, 8 years away from the end of life with these.
6, 7
Now,
years.
ideally, that 7 to 8 year mark is about the time we want to start replacing. For instance, the cameras at the high school, we're about 1.5 years, 2 years in. So hopefully the way we have kind of started to replace and upgrade, by the time we get everywhere done, we'll be back around at the high school where it'll be time probably to start working on that and upgrading those because they'll be at the end of life. So what we don't want to do is what we've done in the past, and the cameras we replaced at the high school a year ago were from 2005 when they installed, when they built the school. That's when the last time the district had a major overhaul of the camera system. And so some of these cameras, the cameras still at Rolling Hills as well as GWC, the interior, at Rolling Hills, GWC, and belt lines outside and inside, and even some of our administrative buildings or non-campus buildings are still working, and again, knock on wood, don't go down, on those cameras that were purchased and put in 2005.
Does that conclude the questions, Trustee Cluis?
Yes.
All right, thank you. If there are no additional questions, this is an item that requires motion. Sorry, that requires action.
Okay, I make a motion that we approve the purchase of security cameras for West Main Elementary, Pleasant Run Elementary, and Barack and Michelle Obama Ninth Grade Center, not to exceed $194,000, $360.65.
We have a motion by Trustee Hamilton, second by Trustee Cluis. We'll now take a vote. Trustee Hamilton,
Yes.
Trustee Nichols,
Yes.
Vice President Smith,
Yes.
Secretary Morris,
Yes.
Trustee Cluis,
Yes.
myself, Trustee Whitfield.
Trustee Whitfield.
Yes.
Myself voting yes, motion passes unanimously. We got cameras coming. All right, the next item we go to are board matters. The first is discussion with the TEA concerning roles and responsibilities of trustees. Dr. Francois?
Yes, thank you. I'll wait for the clicker. Board President Jones, trustees, and Dr. Pereira. As you know from history, this is a retroactive report. The report is in your board book, the full report, and it's also posted to the website so that you can see the full information. I encourage you to do that and also encourage your community to do the same. This is just a reminder of the authority that covers the placement of a conservator, TEC Section 39A.003. Overall, the progress to date, you continue to make progress, but there are some areas I'm going to share with you that will need attention. Exit criteria goal 1 states that by September 30th, the Board of Trustees will demonstrate effective governance in accordance with TEC Chapter 11. And I just want to point out that, and as a reminder, that this particular exit criteria was set for May 31st, but as you'll recall, we pushed that out to September because the board had not taken the LSG two-day training, and I didn't think it was in your best interest or fairness to consider that this was either complete or not complete until you had an opportunity to really execute the LSG training that you took and to show that there was implementation. So it's not a negative at all, it's a positive. It's giving you an opportunity to keep moving on that. Also, the time use tracker began in June 2024. You approved that in the consent agenda. I believe, Board President, that you and Dr. Lloyd had a conversation about the time use tracker and how it is to function. And I also know that you all, as trustees, received training on it when you did your LSG two-day training. Exit criteria goal 2 covers demonstrating an understanding of the difference between board work and superintendent work. What I see as a positive is that trustees continue to enroll in required school board member training. And as I mentioned before, the LSG two-day training has been completed and the processes have begun. I encourage you to continue your training, but even more so, I encourage you to implement the training. Congratulations to Trustee Smith for completing the TASB work. And again, I echo what Board President Jones said, that anyone else on your board that can take that training, it's definitely worthwhile, and I think it provides growth in addition to what you're getting with LSG. Exit criteria goal number 3 continues to be a challenge, and this is an area where I am, excuse me, suggesting that 2 of the GPMs need some considerable attention. One of the GPMs deals with your submission of information to the superintendent or the board president requesting items to be placed on the agenda or items to be discussed at some point. And I'm not moving forward, but what I'm noticing is that some trustees have not consistently followed the procedures for requesting, receiving, or sending information to or from the superintendent. This is something new. You all have been very consistent in this area. In June and some of the month of July, I've noticed that there have been emails passing back and forth as opposed to placing things into the portal. And as you know, the portal is where information can be tracked and ensure that your requests have been received and that somebody will pay attention to and answer them. So I will be looking closely at that area going forward in August to see that there's improvement in this particular GPM. Also, GPM 3.2, and I always seem to be pointing the wrong way, the idea of consistently demonstrating the ability to uphold and abide by the board member ethics, policies, and rules of order for board meetings as described in the board operating procedures. Something I think that will help with this particular GPM is that you all are in the process, and it's on your agenda for first reading, to update and to polish your board operating procedures. When there is buy-in on what those procedures are and everyone feels that they've had an opportunity to know and understand, we should start to see some improvement here. But some of the concerns that we've seen before, complaints, lawsuits, requests made through email, unreimbursed costs, people exceeding budget, and so on. So these are areas that certainly require some attention. I share these with you again. As you're making progress, I don't want to negate the fact that there is considerable progress, but I do want to emphasize the fact that the expectation is forward motion and not going backwards. And so we have, at least in the instance of choosing to send emails to the superintendent, requesting information and so on, those are steps backward. Exit criteria goal number 4, resolving outstanding federal and state programmatic audits. I am excited to say and to have heard tonight that the audit has wrapped up and you all as a board will be able to see a budget that includes the money from TDA. And I'd say to the staff that worked hard on that audit and to Superintendent Pereira, great thanks, because I know the hardship, the financial hardship that places on you as a board and most importantly on the students of this district. And so wrapping that audit up and being in the position to receive those funds is definitely a green light. And then also a good sign that we continue to see as I attend the superintendent's cabinet. The superintendent receives a report every week from the special ed department, and those special ed issues are consistently being addressed. So there's, again, we have green light there. So again, I don't at all sell you short on the work that you are doing. Meetings are within timeframes. You're getting better at that. I hope that you'll continue to exhibit governance maturity and decorum, and most importantly, focus on student outcomes. That's the goal. That's where you are as a district and as board members. So I thank you for your attention, and Board President Jones, I return the mic to you.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Francois. With this report, I would like to first take some time to affirm Trustee Hamilton, who sat in this seat and kind of navigated us through where we are right now. So I want to affirm you for the work that you've done in getting us here and passing the baton, and for us to work collectively to get those other items that are on the report, those GPMs, addressed as quickly and efficiently and expeditiously as we can to, not to say this, rudely, but to, have Dr. Francois relinquish her duties here. And I think she's looking forward to that as well. So thank you very much, Dr. Francois, and also Trustee Hamilton. Trustee Whitfield, so your hand is raised. Thank you.
I have a question. I have actually a statement or comment for the conservator. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can.
Conservator Francois, it has been brought to your attention the concerns that have been taking place, that continue to take place. This has been a repetitive conversation and comment and concern expressed that continues to be ignored. When the board made the change from one chair to another, the current chair has stated or requested to be elected and that there will be changes, has made comments as far as the previous chair being unknowledgeable and incompetent. And that's the reason why we were bumping heads and was not familiar with policy, was one of their in stature, was the reason why we continue to bump heads. That I expressed to you on yesterday during our meeting. It's
Okay, Trustee Whitfield, let's make sure that your comments are pertaining to the report.
I'm sorry, can I please?
If your comments are pertaining and germane to the report that has been presented, you may continue.
I'm
Other
sorry.
than that, you will be placed on mute.
Am I not? I'm hearing someone talking, so I'm going to reclaim my time. With that said, I've requested items to be placed on the agenda that continue not to be placed on the agenda since the new chair. And I've also stated that we should complete the Weaver investigation.
Trustee Whitfield, your comments are not germane to the topic, so you are now muted. We will continue with the next item on the agenda. Okay. The next item on our agenda.
Hold on. Nobody else get to speak?
What's not on the agenda? I'm sorry, I can't hear.
When I posed the question, were there any comments about the report?
Well, you went straight to Ms. Whitfield, so we couldn't interrupt.
Okay, Secretary Morris.
Thank you, President Jones, Carolyn Morris. Thank you, Dr. Francois, for your report. I would like to see more board communication, because I think that will bring the board in an effective manner on different things where we are able to share that. We have no room for the board members to discuss. Haven't not had that in 4 to 5 years. And so if we could perhaps, you look at that area, I'm not in a hurry to get rid of you because of the fact that at least we're getting somewhere. So I appreciate your willingness to share with us and be straight up, but I think we have a serious communication problem on this board.
All right. Thank you very much, Secretary Morris. We'll now move to our next item on the agenda, which is the first reading of the board operating guidelines.
Trustee Jones, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Can you speak into the mic? I didn't understand why was I being muted and not able to complete what I had to say to the conservator based on her, her
Her report,
observation and her report.
okay, her report did not mention anything that you were speaking about regarding your meeting on yesterday. So therefore, your comments were not germane to the topic on the agenda. So now we've moved on to our next item, which is the first reading of the board operating procedures. So let me make this statement before we get started on this particular item. Everyone has received that particular document in board book, and this is, again, a first read. What I did, I took the notes that we had from the LSG two-day training and tried to place those into the board operating procedures as best I could. You will see there are two color codings in there. One color coding relates directly to what we talked about at LSG. The other color coding are items that have been brought up for us to codify within our board operating procedures as we begin to move forward. So again, this is not for us to approve tonight. It is for you guys to take a look and review and then provide any feedback as it relates to, did I capture everything that we discussed in the two-day training? If I did not capture everything in those notes and also from those images, the request is that you place that information in the portal, and I would say start your first 3 words to be board operating procedures, and therefore we know specifically where those items go, and then we can create another draft and get that out as quickly as possible. The idea is for us to have this particular item on our August board meeting agenda to meet the deadline, which has just been identified by Dr. Francois in her report. So this is not, what you see before you in board book is not the board operating procedures for us to adopt. This is just a draft based off of what we currently had and me taking the information from my two-day training and also taking the information of in the, I think it's page 3 or 4, which talks about how we put items on the agenda. So I just pretty much updated the information from our BE local, which was adopted in October. So you'll see that in a different color as well. So that is where we are with this particular item. Are there any comments or questions as it relates to this?
Yes, Mr. President.
Secretary Morris.
Thank you, Carolyn Morris. What I believe should happen, since we are discussing that we have in your notes the old policy strike. I think maybe about a year or 2 years ago, our attorney, Mr. O'Hanlon, presented that to us in that manner. And what he did, he actually put the operating guidelines for the board members to look at and the attorney suggestions on what it should read, not an individual board member, because with all due respect, yes, you are the board president, but you have to come collectively with the board. And so I would like to actually see, and I'm sure if any of the board members haven't read the 2004 operating procedures, have that in front of them so they can make sure your inserts are in place, because that's the only way we're going to know how to ask you the question for when we talk about it.
Okay, so thank you very much for that, Secretary Morris. So that's my statement. What you have before you are just, I didn't remove anything. I struck out what was there and then added information. So as you begin to read through it and you find discrepancies, because again, I was typing this the best I could to make sure that we had something to review. If you find discrepancies, place those in the portal. We'll then review those, make the updates, and have the information ready for us at the work session.
Again, may I respond
Secretary
to
Morris.
that statement? I want to make clear that you understood what I was asking for. If you are going to do some inserts, then do it from the document that we are working from. Thank you. Not like it was, because of the way you presented it to us, the attorney did it very clear. Yours
Right.
wasn't too clear.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any additional questions or comments on the board operating procedures and what is requested for us for between now and the work session? All right. Hearing none, the next item we've added on the agenda is discussion and possible approval of future board agenda items. I'm sorry. Dr. Lloyd, I'm sorry.
Yes, thank you, President Jones. I just wanted to also share that the board operating procedures are a living document, and so I really appreciated the board members' comments. It is also really important that as you get the materials to review and study on your own, and then collectively, and then also consulting with your attorney as well, that we realize that it's not going to be perfect. We need to get it better, but it is annually reviewed by the Board of Trustees, and it is a living document. But I do concur with the statements that have been made that we need to be very aware as a collective, as a Board of Trustees, exactly what's in it. And that means that each member of the Board of Trustees must read it for themselves and also lean on our advice through our board attorney and our board as a whole. Just wanted to share that statement. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Lloyd. So now I'll move to our next item, which is discussion and possible approval of future board agenda items. Now, I recognize that this has been an area of contention the last few days. Typically, we would have 2 weeks between a work session and our board meeting. But for the month of July, we only had 8 days. And since I've assumed this particular seat, I've looked at the policy as relates to BE Local, and it specifies something that says, I think I read it last week, agenda item requests that have not been included in the final agenda approved by the board president shall be presented by the board president to the board for board consideration as to whether the matter should be considered on a future board agenda. And what we've done is actually included this item C under board matters for us to address those types of requests. With that, I did receive some requests. I then sent an email to those individuals requesting certain information. The information that I was requesting was for me to abide by this particular part of the policy, not for me to go through and share what everything about the agenda item that you're requesting was for. It was just for me to abide by that portion of policy which states the board president shall be presented by the board president for the board for consideration as to whether the matter should be considered on a future board agenda. So the idea of that request was for me to have something to state, just as we do now with any other agenda item. At this point, I did not receive any items within the portal. I did receive those via email, then through the portal, but the requests that I made, I have not received anything pertaining to those. So with that being said, we don't have any items as relates to this particular item C for this evening.
Mr. President,
Trustee Whitfield, will you mute yourself for a second? We're getting some background noise, feedback. Thank you. I received your request, but when I requested the additional information, I did not receive that.
who did you request it from? Because you didn't request it from me. I didn't receive a response. I have not yet today have I received the last 2 things I put in the portal.
Okay, well, I sent you an email.
Well, why don't you put yours in the portal some kind of way so we can at least, the whole board can see what's going on? Because I didn't get an email from you.
Secretary Morris, I'm not going to debate this topic with you at this point, but what the plan is moving forward is that any items that are requested, trying to adhere to policy, we will utilize those and address those during the work session. If we have to go through this particular component, where the board has the vote, the item goes on the agenda, it'll be addressed at the work session. We'll then have it addressed at the following board meeting, which will be roughly 2 weeks later.
Well, what I will do is send a copy of what I printed off that I put in the portal, because you have not answered.
I have read those items, and I then sent you a request, and I also provided you additional information pertaining to your items.
That was the other one. That was the first one.
Okay.
I got that.
All right. And again, I did not receive a request or a response. So at this point, the next item on our agenda.
Mr. President, I have a comment.
Secretary, I'm sorry. Trustee Hamilton, and then I'll get Trustee Whitfield.
Okay, we briefly had some dialogue today, and of course, my response is received today. So But based on one thing that I have thought about after our conversation is what I submitted was submitted timely, and my request was actually made by somebody else also. So according to this policy, any two board members may request in writing that's so to be included on the agenda for a meeting or for the work session. So I know we discussed moving my request to the work session for us to discuss, but I guess I'm still confused. If two board members make the same request, why it didn't just go on the agenda?
There was not an additional request with the same language that you provided to me.
Well, the
So
language
that
was
language-
not verbatim.
Excuse me?
I said the language was not verbatim, but it referenced the same issues.
But typically, if you're requesting an item to be placed on the agenda with two people, you are submitting the exact same item.
Okay, that's fine.
All right, so Trustee Whitfield, thank you. Trustee Whitfield, if you will unmute and lower your hand.
I requested for items to be placed on the agenda, and I did request in a timely manner. I did receive your email regarding the request, but this was for a discussion, and there were no documents or information to be submitted as we have here. We're discussing board matters. Within board matters, as an example, 13C, there were no documents submitted or uploaded for us to review to discuss board matters. So with that said, why are we having to go into details through the portal that we are using for the request to explain why we want something on the, to be placed on the agenda in detail, when the whole point is to discuss this situation, this matter, during the actual board meeting? But I was specific about my requests, multiple requests.
Okay, thank you for that
But
question.
yet you sent me an email back, but you wanted me to explain to you in detail what exactly why I wanted to place it on the agenda, but that is not a requirement. And if it's for a discussion, there are no documents to submit at the time.
Okay,
It's a discussion.
Thank you.
Concerns bringing to the board.
thank you for that statement and
Why are we
comment.
having to explain?
Allow me to provide you the rationale, as I stated a moment ago, as well as in the email. For me to, the policy reads, agenda item requests that have not been included in the final agenda approved by the board president shall be presented by the board president to the board for board consideration as to whether the matter should be considered on a future board agenda. So therefore, what I requested were a few items that I felt was necessary for me to state before that discussion started. That was simply what I was asking for. And in the future, I'm going to have to adjust this after further discussion, and we're going to modify this request. And it won't be the 5 bulleted items, it will be fewer than that. And the idea is that I just have an opportunity to share, just like we do with any other agenda item. Consider the approval of purchase of classroom furniture for Houston Elementary. So I would give some information there. As you did state, there are no supporting documents uploaded because I don't have the information and you haven't provided me information for me to upload. So that is the whole purpose of that request, was for me to get that information to give the board some background before that discussion started. But again, this process will be refined. This process will be refined, and hopefully it will meet the satisfaction of everyone to get the items on the agenda as quickly as possible. I am not trying to silence anyone's voice, but I am trying to adhere to policy. And based off of conversations I've had with Dr. Francois and Dr. Lloyd, there are modifications to the request that I made that we're going to modify and change those to make sure that everybody is comfortable with this particular portion of BE Local. Okay? So I understand that some of you are not pleased because your item is not being addressed tonight. I apologize for that. We will get this situation rectified, and moving forward, we'll have something in place that hopefully everybody's satisfied with once we approve our board operating procedures. So So the next item on our
So Trustee
agenda,
Jones, let me ask you this. So
Trustee
what,
Whitfield.
how, if items that we're requesting or discussions we're requesting do not warrant documents, then, I mean.
Well, if they
it's
don't,
like
if they
dictating
do
it
not
as a package,
require
putting it-
documentation on upload, then there will not be a documentation or upload. My only request, again, these requests will be modified, so I can't tell you anything else besides my apologies. It will be corrected. We'll get this going. We're gonna get it working smoothly, and hopefully everybody agrees with what's in the board operating procedures once we approve it. So, please forgive me. The next item on our agenda is a reminder that the Tex Ed Conference dates are September 27th through 29th of 2024 in San Antonio, Texas. I would like for you guys to consider, normally our board meetings are on the fourth Thursday of the month. This conference falls on those same dates. So the September schedule will have to be modified in some manner with our work session as well as the board meeting to ensure that everybody who's planning to attend can attend that, and we have a quorum at this board for that September board meeting. Secretary Morris.
Thank you, President John, Chairman Lawrence, trying to remember to say it like you did. I looked at the clock is still running, and I usually don't do this, but I could not sit here silently in this meeting. You did not allow Trustee Whitfield to complete her statement. You interrupt her, taking her time by your explanation instead of hearing her theory. That was a concern that I have had on communication. And so if we can also practice, in good practice, best practice, communication skills. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that statement, Secretary Morris. I will say that we are having a communication lag, being that Trustee Whitfield is virtual, but I do adhere to your statement. And the next item on our agenda is adjournment. All in favor? Aye. All opposed, say the same. We are so adjourned. 8:22 p.m.